Imagine waking up 50,000 years ago. There are no countries, no presidents, no kings, and no written laws. No police patrol the land, no courts settle disputes, and no governments exist in any recognizable form. Yet you are not alone. Around you is a small community of perhaps 30 or 40 people. Together, you hunt, gather food, protect children, care for the injured, and survive in a world filled with uncertainty. Somehow, despite the absence of formal institutions, order exists. This raises an intriguing question. If politics is simply the process of making decisions together, did politics really begin with civilization? Or did it begin the moment humans started living together? For most of human history, our ancestors lived as hunter-gatherers. Agriculture, cities, and kingdoms represent only a tiny fraction of the human story. Archaeological evidence and studies of recent hunter-gatherer societies suggest that these early communities were usually small, mobile, and deeply dependent on cooperation. Every decision affected the entire group. Where should they travel next? How should food be shared? Who would watch the children while others hunted? These were not political debates in the modern sense, but they were political decisions because they determined how the community functioned. One common misconception is that prehistoric life was ruled by the strongest individual. While strength certainly mattered, anthropological research suggests leadership was often far more flexible. A skilled hunter might lead during a hunt. An experienced elder might settle disputes. A healer might influence decisions about illness. Authority was usually based on trust, experience, generosity, and reputation, rather than permanent power. Unlike later kings, these leaders often could not force obedience. People followed them because they believed their guidance benefited the group. This system created a unique balance. Leadership existed, but it was often temporary and tied to specific situations. If someone became arrogant, selfish, or repeatedly made poor decisions, others could simply stop listening. In small communities where everyone knew one another, reputation was one of the most valuable forms of political power. Rules also existed long before writing. There were no legal codes carved into stone, but there were customs everyone understood. Share food after a successful hunt, protect children, help injured members of the group, respect experienced elders, avoid unnecessary violence within the community. These unwritten rules were passed down through observation, storytelling, and daily life. Breaking them did not usually lead to prison or fines. Instead, the punishment was often social. A selfish person could lose the trust of the group, making cooperation far more difficult in the future. In a world where survival depended on relationships, damaged trust could be devastating. Food sharing offers one of the clearest examples of early political organization. Imagine a successful hunt that provides enough meat for everyone. Who owns it? Today, we might think in terms of private property or economics, but prehistoric communities often approached the question differently. Many hunter-gatherer societies distributed food throughout the group rather than allowing one hunter to keep everything. To modern observers, this may resemble socialism, but it is important not to project modern ideologies onto the past. These communities were not following an economic theory. They were reducing risk. If one hunter returned empty-handed tomorrow, others would share with them. Generosity became a practical survival strategy rather than a political manifesto. Without courts or police, disputes still had to be resolved. Ethnographic studies suggest many hunter-gatherer societies relied on mediation, discussion, and respected elders to settle conflicts. Persistent troublemakers could face ridicule, social pressure, or even expulsion from the community. For someone living in prehistoric times, being cast out could be a death sentence. This reveals an important feature of early politics. Authority often rested not on violence, but on belonging. The community itself became the strongest political institution. Around 12,000 years ago, however, everything began to change. Agriculture allowed people to settle permanently. Villages grew into towns, food surpluses accumulated, and property became something that could be stored, inherited, and defended. As populations expanded, the political systems that worked for small groups became increasingly difficult to maintain. You cannot gather thousands of people around a campfire to discuss every important decision. Permanent leadership, formal laws, taxation, and eventually states emerged to solve problems created by larger and more complex societies. These prehistoric communities continue to fascinate not only historians, but also modern political thinkers. One philosophy that frequently looks back to this period is anarcho-primitivism. Its supporters argue that many of today's problems, environmental destruction, social isolation, and extreme inequality, became more severe after the rise of agriculture, industrialization, and centralized governments. They point to hunter-gatherer societies as examples of communities that often relied on cooperation rather than rigid hierarchies. At the same time, it is important to remember that early humans were not anarcho-primitivists. They did not consciously reject civilization because civilization did not yet exist. Their political systems emerged from practical necessity, not ideology. Life was also extraordinarily difficult. Infant mortality was high, medicine was limited, and food shortages were common. Prehistoric society should neither be romanticized nor dismissed. It was a different way of organizing human life, shaped by the conditions of its time. Interestingly, many modern political philosophies can find echoes in prehistoric communities. Liberalism values individual freedom, yet hunter-gatherers balanced personal autonomy with responsibilities to the group. Socialism emphasizes shared resources, and food sharing certainly played a central role in many early societies, though it emerged from survival rather than doctrine. Conservatism values tradition, much as prehistoric communities relied on elders to preserve essential knowledge. Even democracy finds loose parallels in consensus-based decision-making, although these communities lacked elections, constitutions, and formal representation. These comparisons should be treated as tools for understanding rather than direct historical equivalents. Modern political ideologies were developed in vastly different social and economic contexts. Still, they remind us that many of today's political questions are surprisingly ancient. Who should lead? How should resources be shared? How much authority should leaders possess? What responsibilities do individuals owe to their communities? How should societies respond when someone breaks the rules? These questions were asked around campfires tens of thousands of years ago. Today we ask them in parliaments, classrooms, online discussions, and around our own dinner tables. The technology has changed, the scale has changed, but the fundamental challenges of living together remain remarkably familiar. Much of what we know about prehistoric politics comes from archaeology, evolutionary anthropology, and ethnographic studies of hunter-gatherer societies. These fields continue to evolve as new discoveries reshape our understanding of humanity's past. If today's discussion sparked your curiosity, consider exploring works such as The Dawn of Everything by David Graeber and David Wengrow, Hierarchy in the Forest by Christopher Boehm, The Human Career by Richard G. Klein, or Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari. Each offers a different perspective, and together they demonstrate that there is still much to learn. The story of humanity's first political systems is far from complete. Every archaeological discovery adds another piece to the puzzle. The more we uncover about our distant ancestors, the more we realize that understanding the origins of politics is also a way of understanding ourselves. After all, before there were governments, there were people. And wherever people lived together, politics had already begun.